Here's the deal. It would be one thing if Donald Trump and his mouthpieces could acknowledge objective reality that the debate performance on that stage in Pennsylvania was an abject disaster. But what we're getting instead is a clinic in deflection, diffusion, and delusion. Take Trump, first and foremost, suggesting that Kamala Harris got the questions beforehand.
They had a rigged show with somebody that maybe even had the answers. I mean, I'll be honest, I watched her talk, and I said, she seems awfully familiar with the questions, and you get pretty good at that stuff after a while.
Yeah, no, Donald. You know what that's called? That's called being prepared. Perhaps you should, I don't know, think about that for next time. Maybe give it a shot.
Here's what's so bizarre about this. It's a political debate. Do you not know in advance that the questions are going to be about abortion, about international affairs, about the economy? Got the questions in advance? What did he think the debate was going to be about? Mechanical engineering? But what this tells us is actually revealing. The fact that Trump thinks that Harris got the questions in a debate where the questions were already obvious goes to show that this guy has no idea what he is doing. He doesn't know the topics. He's not prepared. He isn't qualified. He didn't get tricked by the moderators. He got found out for being incompetent. There's a difference. But it wasn't just Trump. The right-wing media ecosystem quickly came to his rescue with some very persuasive arguments about how the perpetual victim Donald Trump was duped. Kamala Harris debate earrings trigger conspiracy theories among Trump supporters. That's right. The reason that Kamala Harris won was because she had a secret earpiece feeding her information. Her earrings definitely weren't these pearl earrings from Tiffany's. No, they were these clip-on Nova H1 audio earrings from Europe that definitely, totally wouldn't be a national security threat at all. Got it. Also, does Harris really need someone in her ear when all she has to say is Trump's rallies are boring and then watch her opponent descend into unhinged rage? Does she really need someone in her ear to say that no one is getting post-birth abortions and then watch her opponent insist that doctors are slaughtering babies after they've been born? I mean, come on, guys. This wasn't an academic decathlon on quantum mechanics. She was rolling Trump with bait that was so obvious, even the hungriest fish in the ocean wouldn't bite. Even RFK Jr. doesn't know how to spin this into a win for Trump.
He says, and he's commented a couple of times today, that he won the debate, and all the polls show that he won the debate. I haven't seen a single one to show that. What did you think of that reaction?
Well, I have seen those polls. You know, they're not, they're polls that you see on, you know, on the internet. And a lot of them probably have statistical problems with them.
When you've got RFK Jr. calling out the bogus polls that Donald Trump is relying on to suggest that he won, it becomes apparent that things aren't going as planned for Donald. Although RFK Jr.'s appearance was tame compared to what happened to Donald Trump at the hands of Fox News' chief political analyst, Brit Hume.
Make no mistake about it, Trump had a bad night. He rose to the bait repeatedly when she baited him, something I'm sure his advisors had begged him not to do. You know, in the first debate when Biden attacked him, he just kept his cool and kept going. In this debate, he rose to debating, and we heard so many of the old grievances that we'd long thought that Trump had learned were not winners politically. And there they all were, you know, talking about how he didn't lose the election and all that. I mean, so my sense is that she came out of this in pretty good shape. Now, how long this will last and is anybody's guess. But for tonight, at least, this was pretty much her night.
You're saying she had a good night?
I'm saying she certainly did.
Meanwhile, he wasn't the only one on Fox News making admissions.
I don't think the American people are watching and thinking any of these people won. This was rough.
He took all the bait and none of the opportunities.
Did Donald Trump miss a few opportunities? Absolutely.
And then there was this.
How many of you say Kamala Harris won after everything you saw tonight? Raise your hands high. How many of you say Donald Trump won? Raise your hands high. 1, 2. Okay. So most of you say Kamala Harris.
If Fox News, the network that paid $787 million for lying on Trump's behalf, can acknowledge what a disaster this debate was for Trump, then I think the jury's probably in. So look, Trump will lie about his own performance, even in stark contrast to the few Republicans willing to acknowledge objective reality, but the fact that he's willing to lie so shamelessly is just further proof of what we saw on that debate stage. He is not fit to be president, and we all know actions speak louder than words. He might say he won, but what does it say when he did this?
Is he literally standing there like he's his own surrogate, trying to get people to talk to him about his own performance?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. He walked in the room. We knew that something was going on because Secret Service was around, but everybody was assuming it was going to be J.D. Vance. It's actually Donald Trump walked into the spin room to spin on his own behalf.
Wow. That's something. That is not a sign of strength or confidence in your own performance when you're trying to extend past the final bell.
Trump doesn't have the temperament, he can't accept responsibility for his own actions, and he is perfectly content to traffic in delusion. But the country more broadly doesn't seem quite as willing to deny reality as he is. Before you go, to see more content from MSNBC, make sure to subscribe to this channel by clicking the link right here on this screen. And you can also follow the link to see some exclusive content only on TikTok.